Welcome to Conversations About Money. Today, I'm really happy to be in conversation with Lena Chero. We're actually having this conversation because she simply sent me an email the other day telling me a tiny, tiny bit of her money story. And I was so intrigued that I thought, why don't I interview you? Why don't we sit down in a conversation together and learn more about it? So I don't know anything about what I'm going to hear today because all I got was like a sentence in an email. So welcome, Lena. And would you like to just start by tell us a little bit about who you are and perhaps a bit of your money story or money background?
Well, I am currently still working as a paralegal for a criminal defense attorney, but I'm also finishing my certification as an animal communication and energy healing with John Ranquet.
That's a pretty big jump from criminal defense to animal communication, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. But it was a great, beautiful jump because I am grateful I did that. So I'm at the beginning of that career, and it's going to be like from my transition. I'm in the transition mode right now. Money wise, it's always been the old story. Only rich people gets money. Money is not something that is good for you. Basically, money is bad. Money makes you bad. It's
Where did you
evil.
where did you grow up?
I grew up in Colombia, South America.
Yeah. Okay, so
And
is there a very strong culture there around money?
yes, there is. I believe there is. There is a big difference socially. You know, there's the rich and the poor. Middle class now is kind of starting to grow, but it's still not there. So it's basically you're poor or you're rich. Um, so you grow up with that mentality that
And did you grow up on the poor side or the rich side?
on the poor side,
Okay,
very poor side.
very poor side. All right.
Yes. Yes, especially because of the mentality of the culture. Like we're poor, so we're blessed by God because we're poor. Uh, you know, uh, because we're poor, we're going to be in heaven very quickly. That's pretty much, it's very religious, very Catholic, um, um, very punishment driven. That's what I think. Like, the worse your life goes, the better it will be in the end. When you die, you'll go to heaven.
Isn't isn't it extraordinary when you think about it? As I listen to you, it almost gives me chills, just listening to that, to think of the power of that being taught through religion to every little child, every family, that really the more you suffer, the more God will favor you.
Yes. Yeah. So you feel privileged because, oh, we're poor, but we're gonna be better. We're gonna be better than everybody else because we don't have anything. That means we're gonna get there quickly. We're gonna get to heaven quickly.
And what happens to that natural desire? I think it's a natural desire that human beings have for abundance. It's not necessary to be very rich or, to be a multimillionaire. I don't think that that's particularly natural to humans. I think some people become very rich and some people become multimillionaires. But I do feel that we have this kind of longing to experience abundance. What do you do with that if you grow up in a culture that is so anti any kind of wealth?
Well, first you have to get rid of the guilt. Because a Catholic, everything is bad, everything is a sin. If you think about obtaining things and being better, then, well, you're kind of coming out of that little square box where you're supposed to be. So you have to go against, the beliefs and people. And there's a lot of fight against that from your family, from friends, from, oh, who do you think you are? I heard that a lot. Who do you think you are? You're thinking about going to America and, uh, becoming bad. That's going to be bad for you. I mean, I heard a lot of that. They wanted to keep you in that little box. So when you try to get out of the box, you had to fight a lot.
So can you tell us a little bit about that fight? Because obviously you did go to America, because
Mhm.
I know you're in America now. So you made that transition, and presumably there was something you were looking for that you felt you couldn't find at home. What was that?
Well, so actually, the funny part is that I was born in America.
Ah,
My parents were here when I was born, and then they divorced, and I went back to Colombia with my mother when I was a toddler, um, because she couldn't take it anymore. She couldn't live here. So I grew up there. And then when I was 18, I basically was told, you need to get your American passport, you're an American person, and you either choose to come or not, but you need to get your passport. So that's when I decided to come in. My father was here and he said, well, you can come from for vacation, a little bit. He was married with a new baby. So that was kind of my opportunity. I wasn't really crazy to come to America because I believe that you can be anything anywhere. I always believed that, even though nobody was saying it to me, I had that belief that in Colombia you can do everything you want. There's so much there. There's a lot of resources, and I found my way to get a small career there. And I knew I could get a job, and but I figure, okay, I have this opportunity, so I'll take this opportunity, and I'll go to America to visit my father. That was going to be it. I was going to visit and come back. Well, I've been here now 31 years.
so how did you find the financial culture of America when you arrived there?
Well, I liked it. I saw that I came in 1990. So, you could get any job, you could go to school, you could do so many things. And I really liked that idea. Even though it wasn't going to be easy because I didn't know the language, and I didn't have any resources. My father was actually moving back to Colombia at the time with his family, so I had to stay behind with some of his friends. So it wasn't easy. I had to work on, jewelry factories, and I did all kinds of jobs. That's actually where I met my husband. Um, I remember my first pay was $4.20 an hour, but I figure, there's so much that I can do here. Even though it's not gonna be easy, I figure I'm a hard worker. I always been. I've been working since very young. Um, and I had no problem with that. And I figure I could see here that I could work and get something out of it quickly.
So that's really interesting because you started off talking about how being poor was like the quick way to heaven. So there was some, it seems like there was some kind of, what's the word? Like there was some message in you around the quick way to get somewhere. And now you see that America gives you a quick way because you can work hard. It's a really similar message in a way, isn't it? I can work hard so then I can get some quick reward for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you were getting it. You were right. I didn't see it that way, but yeah, you would get a reward. Um, and then I kind of pushed back that. I always push back that religious Catholic belief that you can't do anything is bad if you think that you can do more. I really quickly pushed that off. Even though I consider myself Catholic, I still push it off. I figure, you know what? I think you deserve the best. Why not?
And do you have any idea where that came from? That sense of deserving the best?
I think I always had it, um, even though I don't remember members of my family saying that to me. There was always somebody, friends, somebody who always wanted something better for you, who told me that. But I felt like I always had it in me, that belief that you can do better and you can be better and you deserve better things.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So, did you have a kind of traditional, you met your husband and then he made lots of money, or how did your money story go with marriage?
No, we met, and then he is a jeweler. He's always been a jeweler. So he didn't make a lot of money at first. He did good. Has always done good. Um, but then he supported me a lot too. The both of us worked together. I went to school. I went to college. I had my paralegal studies degree, associates, and I always been working in offices 9 to 5, customer service, and then legal assistant, and then office managers, and so anything office I've done. Paralegal, so that's kind of my money. So we're kind of in the middle class point. The house, we have 2 children, the car, the dogs.
A dog under your hand right now, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yes, right here. I have 2, but there's the one that needs to be touched at all times. Yeah. So so that's kind of my money. It's always been the 9 to 5. And then, just recently, I'm going to say about 3 years ago, I kind of started my spiritual path. I think I always was spiritual, but I kind of found that entrance into that world. Mainly through Joan.
Yeah. Through Joan Ranquet.
Yes.
Who teaches animal communication and energy healing. Yeah. So we'll come to that in a moment. But just before we get there, I'm curious, did you experience fulfillment in the 9 to 5 world where you were working?
I did. I've always been attracted to law, and I worked in law offices. I've done family law, civil law. Now I'm in criminal defense. And yes, so I was attracted to it. I always like to organize, solve problems, fix things. I'm very good at prioritizing and getting people organized and getting people where they need to go or what they need to do. And I'm very good at calming people in situations of crisis. So they come in, obviously nobody goes to a law office for a happy reason. So I think I'm very good at controlling the situation from day one until all the way to the end. So yes, I did find lots of fulfillment. It's something that I like to do. I enjoy doing, and I think I'm good at.
Beautiful. So what made you start to move in this direction of learning something so different, the animal communication, and it's such a different world from the law?
Well, I always loved animals, nature, the planet. I believe they have their own life, their own energy. I always believed that in spirits, in angels. I had a little bit of that, I believe, all my life, but I was never in touch of it until now. And I started taking a class at a township, one of those adult evening classes about angels and energy and all this, with someone who has done it for over 30 years. And so I started
just a few years ago.
Yes, this was I'm gonna say about 4 years now. And that kind of opened this door. And as you know, you start with one thing and then you meet this other person and then you run into this other class, and then so next thing you know, you're involved in all these things. And then I found Joan Ranquet, and that's how I got into her master program.
So did you know you wanted to work with animals, or
yes.
You knew that before?
Yeah, well, as a child, I wanted to be a vet, because you love animals. So therefore, naturally, you want to be a vet. But obviously that didn't happen. So I thought, okay, well, this is the next thing. This is the next better thing, to be able to communicate and to help animals in a different way. And I thought it was a great choice. Although I believe that Joan, when we had that interview, it was almost like she dragged me into it because I was so scared. It was a scary jump. It's like you say, it's a complete different world. And it was not easy at first for me to make the decision, but I am glad I did.
Yes, I noticed that a lot of people who wanted to be a vet when they were young kind of are naturally attracted to this kind of work with animals, and a lot of people who wanted to be a nurse or a doctor when they were young and didn't become that are actually really natural healers of people.
Right.
It's at least I see that in my world. My world is very biased, but I just noticed that pattern. So it feels like we know when we're young something that we want, but sometimes we look out in the world and we don't know. Like vet's the only person who works with animals that you ever see, so you think you have to be a vet.
Yes.
You don't
Exactly.
realize there are other ways.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm really curious about the money story because I meet a lot of women like you who've decided to follow their heart, really, and change the work that they're doing. Some of them maybe left the corporate world before they had children and then said they never wanted to go back. Some have tried, but many of the women that I meet these days are in the process of making that shift. And that's quite scary, especially financially for a lot of them. So I'm curious what your thoughts have been over the last few years as you start to approach the possibility of this becoming a career rather than just some study, and how your money story has emerged.
Yeah, so I figure at first this was going to be something I was going to do on the side. And again, it's starting very slowly. I'm starting, my page and social media and things like that. But I'm seeing it more and more as something that I can do full time, and basically that I'm gonna need to do full time, because you get pulled so much into it, and it's almost like life has no sense unless you do that full time. So in heading into that direction, we started thinking about, well, my husband is getting close to early retirement. He's 58. So we started thinking about, okay, what are we going to do? And then it came the idea of the farm in Colombia, in South America, the area where I grew up, which is where the coffee comes from. The city is called Armenia, and it's one of the 3 cities where the coffee is exported from. And the weather is amazing. I mean, it's 75, 80 degrees all year long. You get rain, the soil is beautiful, you can grow anything, you can pretty much live a very good life there. So that's where we started planning this, the purchase of the farm, the little farmhouse in Colombia. And that's kind of the first step towards an easier, better life into what will be for us, well, for my husband, a retirement. For me, the realization of what I want to do with animal communication. And not only that, but I also want to work on helping nature, helping people become more organic. We have farmers markets there too. I have been looking into a program to make our own beauty products out of organic items from the farm, which seems to be something that can be done. I thought it would be so much more difficult than it really is. This is actually something I found looking for it, because that was one of my requests. Help me find something that's going to help get more money for us while we are retired and while I'm in this path. And then I run into a program about the organic beauty products. It's actually a company in England. And they have these classes that you take, and then you're able to make your own products. So that's something that I'm looking into as one of the things to do once we are at the farm. But the first step was to get the farm. And we did get the farm quicker than I thought we would. This was something that we had been planning for about 2 years. And last year, it just happened so quickly, we couldn't believe it.
So Why was that? What I think that's what you were telling me about in the email.
Yes.
Can you tell the story of the farm coming quicker than you imagined it would, and what had changed in you?
Oh my gosh, yes. So we've been talking about it for a couple of years, just casual talk. And this last year, we decided, okay, we were planning this with my uncle and aunt in Colombia. They live there now. We get along well, and we are about the same ages, so we figure we could do this together. So we figure, okay, let's plan a trip. So we plan a trip to Cancun, and we figure, okay, we'll just spend a week there, talk about the plans about the farm, and see how we can get it going. So we started in March. We went to Cancun. I remember sitting at a bar in Cancun with a beautiful view. I had a notebook and I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. How much money we have? What do we want? How do we want it? Where do we want it? Every detail was written down. The four of us talking and laughing and having fun. We were very, very relaxed, which is something I learned from you. When talking about money, be relaxed. Well, you couldn't be any more relaxed than being in Cancun, right? In front of a beach. So we're writing everything down. We're having fun. We're enjoying the week. We're talking the whole time about what the farm is going to be like. And so the plan was in June, my uncle was going to sell his apartment. He lived in another city. His plan was to sell the apartment, and then once he get that money, that would be the money for the seed money for the farm. That would be his portion. And then we will have some savings. Well, so in June, he says, okay, I'm ready to sell the apartment. But I don't know if you heard in Colombia, there was big social disturbances in June of last year over something the president said. And everybody just went into the streets. There were manifestations for weeks and weeks and weeks. It was awful. So we figure he's not going to be able to sell that apartment. He's in the middle of these social problems. Nobody's going to want to buy anything or do anything. Sarah, the moment that they mentioned it to the landlord, they said, we're planning on selling our apartment. And I tell you, the streets are closed. There's explosions everywhere. There's people fighting. There's everything. 2 weeks later, they found someone who just came in with more money than they had asked for, and they bought their apartment. This person bought their apartment in the middle of all this chaos. We were stunned. Like, they couldn't believe it. They're like, he's giving us cash. He's giving us more money than we asked for. We're ready to go now. So they went to Armenia where we wanted to get the farm, and they started looking for the farm. Well, a couple of weeks later, they found the perfect one, but we were still looking. You know how it is. You find a place, but you think maybe this is not the right one. Let's see some more. They saw some more, but they said, no, definitely the one that we saw, the second one we saw, we think is the right one for what we're looking for. And so we made the offer, and the lady took the offer, and then from there, it was like, from the moment my uncle sold his apartment in June, we were signing a deed in September. And it couldn't just go any better. We couldn't believe it. We're still like walking on cloud nine here. The money came out of our savings, and we had to make a small loan to complete the payment, but it's all paid off, and it's all ours, and there's no mortgage, and we're all good to go. And we're just like, what just happened?
What did just happen?
Yeah, right. It was just absolutely amazing. We were able to find it with the money, just a little bit more of what we had calculated from the beginning. But just what we wanted, everything that we wanted. There's still some stuff that needs tweaking, as always. You have a property, you know how that goes. But we are absolutely amazed. I am nothing but grateful. And every day I do all my meditations and I do all my thank yous and my I can't believe it, and still making all my other requests because there's more coming, as we know, and I have faith that there is more coming. But we're still like I said, we're still like flying in this cloud. And actually, it's funny that you made this interview today. We are traveling there this Sunday.
Wow.
We're going to visit for a week because we were there just a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious, Lena, are there other things that you feel, you mentioned relaxation and you were obviously enjoying, and I'm always teaching people about relaxation and enjoyment in relation to money. Are there other really important things that you've learned about money this last year or two?
Oh my gosh, so many. There were so many things. My opinion of money have changed a million ways. The fact that I used to be so stressed out many times about money. Now I am more relaxed and I know that I just need to let things happen. I know that everything is going to happen for the better. But I learned to relax. I learned to accept things the way they come. I learned to let go if I need to let go, because that was one of the things when we were having a little bit of problems with the farm transaction. Moving money internationally is not an easy thing to do, I tell you. So that was a little bit stressful, but it came down to, if this is for my highest good, it will happen. If it's not for my highest good, then it's not going to happen. And then I'm going to let it go. And then I'm going to move on to the next thing. So yes, there was much learning.
How do you see money now? Like, what is money to you?
Money is my buddy. He is my friend. He or she, because I call it he, she. Is an angel, is the energy that's always there for me. And that always had been there for me, because I look back and I think, look at all the things that I've done, and there's always an answer to the request. Even though I've been asking sometimes, crying desperately, going insane, but I have always had money. Not millions, but I had always had what I need and more. So she has always been there for me.
So is it possible to be a good person and to have money?
Oh, have money, yes. And have things and enjoy life and be happy. You don't have to be miserable and crying. You don't have to be on the cross all the time. You can get off the cross and be happy.
And not feel guilty.
Not feel guilty and go to heaven. I believe that. Yes.
Is heaven here or there or both?
Exactly. Yes, you can. Needless to say, I'm not a Catholic anymore. I consider myself spiritual, but not a Catholic anymore. Not of any religion, basically, but all of them. Because I think
it feels to me like you have the essence without the some of the stuff that weighs it down.
Thank you. Yes, I'm still working on it, because that guilt really, is drilled in your brain. But I think I'm doing a lot better now.
Well, Lena, I so appreciate this interview. It's actually such a beautiful story, from that Catholic beginning to this sense of abundance and happiness, and just what I feel that human beings really long to experience, which is simple. What you're describing is simple, it's beautiful, it's not unrealistic. You know that there will be challenges. You've still got to figure out, how to buy some things for the farm and all of that. But just such a sense of, yes, just like you believed when you were young, that you could be anywhere, anybody, anywhere.
Yes, and I do believe that anybody can have anything they want. I do believe it. And it doesn't have to look like a millionaire, that you see in the magazines. We don't have to be millionaires, but just be happy with what we have and what we get every day. And that alone, I believe, will bring you more and more.
Beautiful. Well, it's a wonderful example. I'm really grateful to you for sending me that email and just
Oh, thank you.
indicating to me that somehow because of the change you'd made in your relationship with money, it had enabled you to buy your farm in Colombia. And that's what made me so curious. And
Yeah.
really, I'm so glad to have heard the full story. And thank you for sharing it with us.
And thank you for taking the time to talk to me, Sarah. I really love everything you do. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.